Hello guys, back again for the next lesson. Today we're just doing assets versus liabilities. What is the difference between an asset and a liability and how it applies to business. Children, you need to, this is where it comes into the knowledge. If you can identify what is an asset and you can identify what is a liability, these are the keys to help you build wealth successfully and quickly. Which is extremely important because you need to really evaluate what your purchases, the purchases you do in life, so that way you can make sure that those purchases are actually helping you achieve your goals. Because if something is not helping you achieve your goals, it's considered a liability, which is keeping you from getting wealthy, which is the whole purpose of doing all these tools and all these steps and being dedicated, so that way you can build wealth and live financially free. Okay, so now we're going to head over to the board and I'll begin. Okay guys, so let's begin. So first thing you got to realize is, what is an asset? Okay, an asset is something that makes you money. Okay, that's an asset, something that makes you money. What is a liability? A liability is something that costs you money. Very important that you understand and know the difference, because this is it's essential. Because if you know how to acquire assets that makes you lots of money, then these assets will be the bridge that allows you to pay for liabilities. Okay, so let's start with an example, right? Okay, so let's say, okay, so as you know, children, I'm in doing driver's education, right? So I go get a loan, okay, for, let's say, a Toyota Corolla. I can't spell today. Okay, so a Toyota Corolla. All right, now I'm making monthly payments of about, let's say, $326 a month. Okay, is this a liability? As of right now, yes, until I put it in a service, into the fleet, right? And it starts making me money, meaning teaching lessons. Now, this liability is now an asset because it's making me money day after day after day. Okay? So, let's do another example. Okay? Same example, but different scenario. Let's say I take a loan. Yeah, sorry about that, got a bit distracted there. All right, so the second example here. So let's say we take out a loan, and let's say I wanted to purchase a, same example, Toyota Corolla. All right, but this time with this vehicle, which is a $326 a month, all right, I'm using it for personal, okay? No business. All right, at this point, this Toyota Corolla is a liability. It's costing me in fuel, it's costing me in insurance, it's costing me in maintenance, and it's not making me money. Now it's definitely a liability. Now some people will say, well, hold on here. I need a car to get to work. How am I supposed to get to work? Well, going back into earlier lessons that I recorded, is that you don't need a brand new car to go to work every day. You can use a second-hand vehicle, a cheaper vehicle, a vehicle that's $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 in total cost, you can use that to get to work every day. And guess what? At that point, in my philosophy, it is an asset because you have no payments on it, no nothing. The car is fully paid off, and you're using that as an asset to get to work every day. Liabilities is something that is costing you money every single month. It is losing value, is not helping you gain money. Okay? So let's keep going with the examples. Now, let's say personal expenditures. Okay? Now, me in general, children as your father, I typically limit as many personal liabilities as possible. Okay, so the only thing I have under personal is my home, which I have a mortgage. Okay, that's the only liabilities I have on my personal end. Okay, on my business end, I have SBA, 7A loan, which gave me the ability to purchase 6 vehicles, a semi truck, and expand, which at the end, you put this all together, allowed me to grow in capital. Okay, so the personal home is great because every dollar that I spend on the mortgage payment brings down the principal balance of the home, which then the home becomes what's considered, people will say, becomes an asset. I typically disagree with that because in order, let's say this house has $200,000 in equity. Okay, I would have to take a loan, which is a HELOC, home equity line of credit on the home, in order to access that, which they charge anywhere between 3.2% and up. So I have to borrow money on the asset that I own in order to get money out of that asset. So to me, because the house is locked and I have to take a loan in order to get access to that money, I feel as though that a personal home is not an asset. It's actually a liability because you're putting money into something that you can never really touch because you'll have to literally get a loan to get the equity out, or you'll have to sell the asset to upgrade the home. So to me personally, and this is my personal opinion, children, a personal home is actually a liability, is not an asset. Okay? Now, as we go over to back to the business side, this is where it's considered to be leveraging debt. Okay, so what I did was I took out an SB7 loan, which gave me capital to purchase 6 cars, a semi truck, and expand the company, which allowed me to grow the bottom line, which means makes the company more profitable. Okay, I used debt to expand, which allowed me to make more money at the end of the month. This is what you want. Okay, you want assets. You do not want liabilities, because the more liabilities you have, the harder it is to get assets. So to give you an example of what I would consider liabilities. Now, children, some people would argue and say, well, that's not true, this may be true, but this is my legacy that I'm leaving for you, and I want you to understand that this is how I personally look at things. Okay, so back to the board. I think a personal credit card, are liabilities. Okay, reason why. If you jump over to the other side, which will be a business credit card, is an asset. Okay? A personal credit card is personal debt. Okay? Now, can you use a personal credit card to get an asset for your business? Yes, but most people don't do that. People use personal credit cards to buy stuff around Christmas time, birthdays, holidays, or whenever there's a life-threatening, a life emergency. That's when people use their credit cards. They don't actually statistically use credit cards to build assets. Okay? Business credit cards. Why a business credit card is to me one of the best things. One, okay, you can give employee cards. So every one of my drivers out there on the road has their own employee card. Each card get 1.5% cash back per swipe, which is money given back to the business for just using the card. The next thing is you can write off pretty much all, oh God, I'm messing up, all the expenditures. You can write them all off. So if every time one of my guys go to get fuel, or they have to stop because they have a flat tire, or they need to go buy mats or windshield wiper blades or anything, when they swipe that card, it is considered a write-off at the end of the year. Personal cards, you can't write nothing off. So whatever you spend, you just spend. That's it. Okay? So in my philosophy, personal credit cards are liabilities. Because you cannot take anything you pay for and write it off. You cannot do that. Now, there is a few tricks when starting a business where, let's say if you do have a personal credit card, you can use that personal credit card as leverage to buy assets for your business. But as soon as your business get up and running with the assets and the asset starts producing, you want to definitely switch over and get a business credit card so that way you can write off all those transactions, because you cannot write off personal card transactions. That's not how it works. All right, children. Let's keep going down the liabilities. Okay. So, when it comes to understanding, all right. So here's an example. Okay, so I'm going to, now this is me being nitpicky. Okay, but some people would agree or disagree. All right, PS5, Xbox X, or very expensive shopping trips or anything like that. You gotta understand is that you're in the process of building wealth. So stuff like this will actually slow you down from actually developing and building wealth, where you should have took all that money and put that into your asset, because your asset is going to generate the cash flow that's going to pay for one of these. You just have to be patient. And that's the thing. We want gratification now. We want to be able to enjoy life and buy what we want now. But we don't realize is that by spending money on all these things and others, we're actually creating liabilities and not assets. Assets is the key, and it's the most important thing, because the asset is what's going to generate cash flow, which is going to help you succeed and get to your goal. Okay, so I wanted to come back and sit down here and just talk to you directly here is that you got to understand that you got to remove a lot of liabilities out of your life, so that way you can really hyper focus on building assets, because assets is what's going to produce the lifestyle that you want to have. I understand, like, sometimes we want to buy things. Like, I'm a big PlayStation fan, so when the new PS5 came out, I was like, you know what, I'll pay $1,000 for a PS5. But what I didn't realize is that, hey, that $1,000, I could have used that to put that as a down payment for another car, or I could have to put it in the fleet, or I could have used that. I could have put that in the stock market to invest. I could have put that in crypto. I could have. There's other things that could have been done that would have been more beneficial in building assets than just sitting there, playing video games, or going on a luxurious shopping trip, just to have the clothes just sit in your closet and you don't really wear it, or spending $600-700 on a pair of shoes that you're only going to wear twice. It's to me, that's all liabilities, because you're taking money from your future self, okay, and you're taking money from what could have been producing, and now it's just stagnant. It's just sitting there. It's not doing anything, and the resale value on that is negateful. It's like you have no resale value. When it comes to, for example, back to the example I used earlier with the cars, cars loses value tremendously. In some places, you'll lose 30% as soon as you pull off the lot. Okay, but when you leverage debt to purchase a car, okay, to make money from the car, it doesn't matter the value of the car. What matters is how much cash flow that car is producing, because you can have a car that generates, let's say, $150,000 a year. Are you really going to care that the value of the car dropped 30%? No, it's producing you $150,000 a year. Now, what really hurts is if you purchase a car and then you drive it off the lot and you're only using it for personal usage. Then that's a liability. You're losing money because you can't take the car back and say, oh, well, I only put 200 miles on it. No, you're going to have a 10 to 15% loss of value just because it's considered a used car now. And I know that I'm using cars as just an example, but there's plenty of other examples that could be used as you journey through life and see that there is a tremendous amount of liabilities. We are in a consumer-based country. Everyone is consuming, but everything you consume is a liability, is not necessarily an asset, unless you know how to create liabilities that create guaranteed assets, which is business debt leveraging, which I'll create another video as time go on, expressing how to properly use and leverage debt to build the company. Okay, but overall, the main focus is build as many assets as possible and eliminate as many liabilities as possible. Because if you have nothing but assets and only have a little bit of liabilities, there's only one thing that's going to possibly happen from that. You're going to build wealth, because of the fact that you're not taking away your own wealth by buying stuff you don't need or that costs you money. Okay, love you, kids. See you in the next one.